measures will stay in place, so that means all non-essential businesses remain closed, schools remain closed, and people are to stay inside as far as that's possible.
We will be extending our guidelines to April 30th to slow the spread.
Governor Raimondo says not enough people are following her social distancing orders.
Knock it off. You are risking the lives of everyone in this state.
Because of the pandemic, and it was weird and scary to be going through emotional things when no one knew what was really happening and things were changing every day. Like for the 7 days I was an outpatient, policies were different every morning when I arrived. I think it made it different in terms of face-to-face contact and limited with how providers were able to interact with me. And I do think that the procedures and uncertainty have affected my recovery because as things in my life were changing, everything around me was also changing, so it was hard to find something that was a normal routine to go back to after long days in therapy.
Dr. Anderson says he's seeing more kids suffering from varying degrees of depression and anxiety.
When the shelter-in-place mandate came, we basically had to stop operations. I work at Heath Ceramics in the San Francisco showroom. There was clay and mixers sitting out, and we just had to walk away from it. I couldn't go into work anymore, so I started working remotely. A lot of what I did was talk to residential clients, homeowners, remodeling a bathroom or a kitchen or sometimes a fireplace. The in-person part was very important. You're almost a therapist for them while they're picking out tiles for their backsplash. I missed that part of it. They cut my hours down to 10 hours a week. 2 weeks later, I got the news they were putting a lot of us on furlough.
Only essential businesses will be functioning. People can work at home, God bless you, but only essential businesses can have workers commuting to the job or on the job.
I love the people that I worked with, and I've never been unemployed. This was the first for me I had to tell my kids. I cried when I told my fiancé, but it wasn't sadness that I felt. I didn't feel a connection to my job title such that it was a loss of my sense of self. It was more, well, what am I going to do now? Or maybe it was because you have to say those words, I've been laid off. I never said those words before. The next day I told them. Schools in New Jersey were closed, so my daughters were homeschooling. I called them into the living room, sat down, and told them that I had been let go from my position at work. I was crying initially. They both sort of looked at me and they said, well, what does that mean for us?
The last few months have been heartbreaking. The longer people have had to isolate, it has been relapse, 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 overdose, relapse, overdose. People need structure, routine, and support. Narcotics Anonymous classes have been canceled for weeks.
Health experts, it's a worst fear come true. Alarming numbers out of Cook County show a sharp spike in overdose deaths from opioids. Those on the front lines of the crisis call it yet another indirect symptom of the coronavirus and the effects of quarantine.
Heartview is handling more requests for residential services than usual, and reporting of drug and alcohol use has also gone up. Part of recovery is helping people reconnect with their world around them, their family, their friends, sense of purpose and meaning. And so, with social distancing and COVID and isolation, It is absolutely opposite of what we
We're
do.
seeing a surge in opioid overdoses, and experts are blaming the coronavirus pandemic.
There's been 130 more overdoses than last year in Manatee County, and 2020 isn't even over yet.
You're trying not to use the drink or the drug, but yet it's the only thing that they know of that will numb the horrible anxiety and fear in this pile of mess that they've created.
And it was so heartbreaking to hear from the families of the dying COVID patients because they just wanted to come in and see their family, but we had to say no. They just wanted to say goodbye. They asked to come to the window, and we had to tell them no. The best that we could do was put them on speakerphone and hope that that was enough, but it never felt like it was.
We know that we're going to have to be limiting visitation when your loved one or if your loved one is in the hospital. Yellow means that we'll limit the amount of time that you spend with your loved one, that we are really going to be very strict about people in and out. Red is lockdown.
I volunteered to post myself in a rapid response team, and Sonia volunteered to work in the COVID isolation ward. Now we may not see Ayan for quite some time. We are not planning to get him till the pandemic is over, and after that we will take quarantine for 2 or more weeks. Sonia sometimes gets teary-eyed when talking to him, but he tells his mom to keep going as he is a busy, brave kid. I miss him too, but I know he is safe away from us.
I spoke to a female caller in California that is self-quarantining for protection from COVID-19 due to having asthma. Her partner strangled her tonight. While talking to her, it sounded like she was having some really serious issues. She is scared to go to the ER due to fear around catching COVID-19. My husband won't let me leave the house. He's had flu-like symptoms and blames keeping me here on not wanting to infect others or bringing something like COVID-19 home. But I feel like it's just an attempt to isolate me.
Who the hell do you think you are? What is wrong with people? I don't understand what is wrong with people. Stay at home.
The other thing I'm worried about is that nobody's watching kids except the families. There may be abuse that hasn't been reported because nobody knows that it's happening. I can't even have privacy in the bathroom, and now I have to endure this lockdown. He insists on total surveillance at all times. If I try to lock myself in a room, he kicks the door until I open it. Every action has a cost and a consequence.
Every action has a cost and consequence.
Every action has a cost and a consequence.
Every action has a cost and a consequence.
Every action has a cost and a consequence.
Every action has a cost and a
And a
consequence.
consequence.